Harvey, glad to have you, buddy.
What's up, man? Good to be
You
here.
said, yeah, you said you weren't going to wear a shirt for this recording, and you did. You're such a hypocrite.
I know. I'm genuinely and generally full of shit.
Well, if you're going to wear a shirt, I do like that one. I don't know if you saw Trump said yesterday he wants the Cleveland Indians to reinstate their name.
No, I did not see that.
Oh yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big deal. He was saying that the Washington Commanders weren't going to get money for their new stadium if they didn't change their name from Commanders to back to Redskins.
No, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that. I just actually a guy that I coach with, he dropped this off on my front porch because he knew that I'm a big Cleveland baseball fan, and so he found all this retro gear, and it reminds me of my childhood. I grew up in the '90s and grew up when the Indians were super good, and listening to games, watching games, and going to games with my dad and my brothers. So
Did you go
it's
to that old stadium?
I got to Cleveland Stadium once, and then the Jacobs Field was built in, I don't know, 93, 94, something like that, like right before the strike. And that's mostly what I remember going to.
They built the stadium in Arlington in 94, and the
Yeah.
old Arlington Stadium, I don't remember what they called it, but it was similarly awful to the Cleveland Stadium, right? Before they built the Jake?
Oh, yeah, you mean the one before the ballpark at Arlington, the one they have now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
one
I don't remember.
Canseco ran through the wall at.
Oh, that's where that was?
Hmm. Or did he
Yeah.
bounce the ball off his head for a home run?
Uh, he might have been both of those guys.
Yeah, probably. He
It
was a
seems like
meathead.
both. Yeah, total meathead. Very good at baseball, though.
Yeah, roids help.
Yeah, it helps you mash a little bit. But I always say, and you probably have a similar philosophy. I mean, you can take steroids, but you still have to have good hands. You still have to be an athlete. You still have to be on time, right? You still have to have your bat in the zone. Not everybody can do that.
True, but what I used to say because you and I played during the height of the steroid era, is that it's so important that your fast twitch muscles are activated. So the faster you can get the bat from here to here, if you just increase that by point oh,
Sure.
whatever,
Yeah.
you're gonna add some serious pop. And I hate that I came up in that era because I used to, speaking of take your shirt off, I used to get accused of being on steroids, and which was the biggest compliment ever, but I never did it because I didn't want to have to tell my kids someday that I did.
Mm.
But what a disadvantage not to take a needle every once in a while.
Were you a power hitter?
I hit 3 and 4 like high school, and my senior year of college I hit three, but I was a leadoff once I got to well, so I hit three in junior college, and then a leadoff when I got to D1, and then senior year I hit third.
So you were accused just because you were thicker?
No, because I was ripped to shreds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a
Yeah.
fat coach, hitting coach, who used to come into the locker room and say, Bradley D, it's like looking in a mirror.
I guess my point is, like, you could give me all the steroids in the world, and I'm still not going to hit a bomb. Like, you already have to be an elite athlete to use steroids and then hit 72 home runs.
Well, I think that's why Bond started because he saw what Sosa and McGuire were doing and told himself, I'm just as good as them. Give me roids and I'll do this. Watch me now.
Turns out he was right.
But he was right, yes. I remember when we were stretching one day before a practice, we were talking about who was on the juice, and everybody was saying Bonds is on the juice. And our coach was walking around us as we were laying on the ground stretching, and he said, Fellas, that guy's been working his ass off for 10 years, and that's why he looks the way he does. I'm like, yeah, coach, working out doesn't swell your head like that. But if I were a coach, I'd be telling us that too.
Hmm. Yeah, and the answer is that it was both. Right? He was working his ass off, and he was giving himself an advantage.
Absolutely. So we had a player, his name was, well, I don't want to say his name because maybe he doesn't want to be mentioned, but he went and played in the big leagues. He was about 10 years before me where I went to school. And he said that the biggest juice monkeys in Major League Baseball at that time were Bonds, Kyle Farnsworth, and Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson. Did we
How
already
about
know
that?
that?
What's that?
Did we already know that about Randy?
I don't think so. I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't even assume. I mean, if you're 6'10" and left-handed, it seems like you wouldn't need them, but everybody was doing it.
Yeah. Wow. Huh. But was just one guy. He didn't show up in a report or anything.
Yeah, right. They lucked out.
Yeah.
Have you seen that PCA fella? The Cubs hitter? He's like 23 years old, dropping
Yeah.
bombs.
Dude, I just saw him for the first time the other night. I just caught a Cubs game randomly. The most impressive thing about him is how long his last name is and how deep into the back of his jersey it goes.
That is the most impressive thing about him. You're right.
Yeah, so that I have seen that guy pretty
Yeah.
often.
So for listeners, we should tell each other how we met, or tell listeners how we met. 3 or 4 years ago, you were in New Orleans and you invited me for coffee.
Yeah. I don't even know how we got. Oh, actually, I do. I heard you on probably the Bigger Pockets podcast.
Probably.
And then you mentioned that you played baseball. And I'm very attuned to guys who played baseball because I played baseball, college baseball specifically. So I think I sent you a Facebook message and just said, hey, I played baseball too. Heard you on the podcast. Really cool, whatever. And then somehow we got into some Facebook message banter about what position I played. And I was like, I was a pitcher. And then you accused me of not being an athlete. I don't know how we stayed connected or got connected after that. But then, yeah, reached out a couple different times via text. And I was told you I was going to be in New Orleans. And you're like, I'm there too. Let's get coffee. And then we had a beignet and a coffee and our wives met. And what was the name of that place?
Cafe Dumonde on Decatur.
Yeah.
World famous.
Yeah. Good vibes down there in New Orleans.
Yeah, don't stop being my friend just because I called you a non-athlete. I have other friends from college who were non-athletes, and we're still buddies.
Yeah. It's funny because everyone who says that knows it's not true.
Not me.
Come on.
Well, relatively speaking, right? I mean, I'm comparing you to position players. You're a non-athlete.
A different kind of athlete. All athletes, just a different variety.
Sure, dude. Anyway, I'm glad we're still friends. You're really good at keeping in touch. I imagine you have lifelong friends because you're so good about building relationships and staying in touch.
Yeah, I have a couple friends from way back in the day, but the skill of keeping up with people and staying connected was really only something I learned in the last 5 to 10 years. So most of my network, quote unquote, good friends now, they're all people that I've met in the last 5 to 10 years. Probably 10 years. Probably 10
Well,
years.
I have a feeling if we lived closer in proximity, we would be besties. I like you
Yeah.
that much.
Oh, thank you. I like you too. I'm sure that we would hang out and sit and have long talks.
Yes, we would. We had trouble starting because we couldn't stop talking.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. The older I get, the more I'm okay with trying to be okay with idle time, conversation.
Yeah, me too. I remember being a kid and parents just talking, and my friends and I would be playing basketball or like Nerf basketball in somebody's room for hours and come out and they're still talking. And I'm like, how are they enjoying themselves? They're just talking.
Yeah,
And now
yeah,
that's my number one thing. I just want to talk to people.
yep, same. Yeah, I have my son. He's 12, and he says the same thing. It's like all you guys do is sit around and talk. It's so boring. Yeah, I know.
So,
I get it. I know why it looks boring to you.
yeah. So you played at Valpo, right?
Yep, Valparaiso University,
The
Northwest Indiana.
Beacons?
About what's that?
The Beacons?
Now the Beacons, the Crusaders when I played.
What the hell is a beacon and why did they change their name?
Well, you know why they changed their name.
Well, if I knew what a beacon was, I probably would know. Why?
They
Why
wanted
did
to
they
make
do?
the Beacons. They stopped being the Crusaders because it was all in the same time around the Redskins and the Indians. The
Oh wow.
Crusader name became offensive to somebody. I don't know who per se, and so they changed it and pissed off a lot of people. Like some people, like some of the friends that I still have that I played with, they want nothing to do with the university anymore. These were guys who were like donating money and participating in the alumni stuff, and they're just done and out. But I guess that's the risk you take when you make decisions like
When
that.
you let some awful make a decision for you, yeah.
So the beacon, from what I understand, has to do with Valpo's proximity to Lake Michigan and a lighthouse on Lake Michigan, and the beacon being the light at the top of a lighthouse. The mascots are these two Labrador retrievers now, which is, I don't know how they came up with that, but the mascot when I was going there was this big like fighting crusader, this huge crusader head, the fists and everything. And now it's a couple of puppies running around.
Wow. Should have changed your name like University of Hawaii. Y'all could have been the Rainbows, sounds like.
Is that what they are?
They used to be the Rainbows, and then they became the Fighting Rainbow Warriors, I think.
Huh. So they went a little bit more aggressive. I like that.
Yeah, that was maybe 20 years ago. I think they were getting mocked for being gay because of the rainbow and being football players.
Mm,
They wanted to change it.
I see. Yeah. Anyway, that's where I played baseball.
Okay. So I cut you off. You were saying it's in Indiana. Was that how far was that from Akron, Ohio, where you're from?
I think it took about 5 hours to get there from Akron.
Oh, that's the same distance from home I went to school. Were you
Okay.
recruited or you wanted to go there since you were a kid or what?
No, I never heard of Valpo until I started my journey of trying to figure out where I was going to go play college ball. Uh, and they're Division One. I didn't get recruited by too many Division One programs, not seriously anyway. And we went out there, me and my dad, and that was the last visit we went on. I liked the vibes. I liked the coach. I liked that I was going to get to play immediately. And I think there was an element of just college visit fatigue too. Like I was just ready to be done and make a decision. So I remember sitting in the coach's office. Coach Paul Twingy, who was the coach at the time at Valpo, who is now a high school Hall of Fame baseball coach, went on to coach up in Minnesota and took this team to multiple championships. We didn't do anything when he was coaching me. Anyway, I remember sitting in his office on his big, nasty brown leather couch and just saying, "All right, let's do it." He was like, well, he was surprised. So he like took me out and introduced me to the coaching staff who happened to be there at the time and some players who were there, and that was it.
That's cool. Were they in the Missouri Valley at the time?
No, we were in the mid-con.
Mid-con?
We were in the mid-con and then the Horizon and then the Missouri Valley. So in the mid-con was crazy. It stands for mid-continent if you haven't put that together. But we were anything but in the middle of the continent in terms of where we played. We played at Oral Roberts, which is down in Tulsa.
Yeah.
We played way out in southern Utah. So we would fly into Vegas and drive 2 or 3 hours through the desert to go play southern Utah every other year. And I think everybody else was mostly, no, we went to Centenary down in no, it's in
Shreveport.
Louisiana, Shreveport. Another flight, we'd fly to Arkansas and then drive multiple hours. So
Hmm.
it's bizarre. That conference was just so spread out.
Yeah, especially for being called well mid-continent. That's pretty broad, right? So you were probably in the middle of the continent wherever you went. We played in the Southland, and it was basically just Texas and Louisiana schools. It was, in fact.
Yeah. Once we moved to the Horizon, it made a little bit more sense, like Western Illinois and Oakland University and Detroit, mostly Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan teams.
So
That made
you
more
had
sense.
never heard of Valpo. That means you don't remember where you were when Bryce Drew hit the buzzer beater three-pointer to go to the Sweet 16?
You know what? I watched college basketball and March Madness when I was younger, but it's not like I had any sort of connection to that.
Did they have a
Did you?
statue of him on the campus or anything?
Ah, they don't have a statue of him, but it is constant. People,
Really?
that's what people talk about. Yeah, and
Huh.
basketball is like when you're on campus there. That's the program. It's like being at Ohio State and talking about football. It's basketball's the program there. And when I went there, they really weren't that good. And you're like, God, shut up about basketball. But I get it. They had a tradition and a heritage, and they had won a bunch of games and had a big moment on TV. So
Yeah, and when I think of Indiana, I think about Hoosiers and basketball.
totally, yeah, basketball state, basketball school, and a basketball state. So
Hmm. Were
Yeah.
you a weekend starter or where were you in the rotation?
Yeah. Starting my freshman year, I wound up being number two starter my freshman year, and then number one the rest of the way.
Any aspirations of playing beyond college?
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to, especially early on. I got some looks coming out of, I should say I got a look coming out of high school. Did not get drafted. And then in college, yeah, I still wanted to. And then, I met my current wife my sophomore year. I started to get involved in more things. I joined a fraternity. I was in Air Force ROTC. I started to golf more. I got some jobs. And baseball, I came in with baseball being like the thing that I was focused on. I poured all my energy into. I was a baseball guy. And then I just started to expand and get interested in other things. And so as time went on, I got less interested in playing beyond college. I had a fraction of a chance to go play independent ball for a team called the Gary Railcats in Gary, Indiana. And I would have had to try out. Even if I made it, did I want to go and grind it out in independent ball and make $4,000 a year and have to get other jobs? And no, I didn't think so. So I went and got a regular job.
I wasn't drafted. And I was bitter after I wasn't. Like I had an aversion to baseball for the next 5 years after college.
Oh, oh, yeah. I was ready to start my regular life.
So do you follow Valpo sports at all now?
Just baseball.
Mm.
Yeah, I've I've stayed in pretty good contact with the coach who's still there. He was
Mm.
my he was my pitching coach at the time when I graduated. So I've stayed in contact with him. I started a players association, and we started to put on events and like run golf outings and stuff like that. I've since handed all that over. And then recently I've gotten the chance to like work with the staff at Valparaiso University, the baseball staff, and helping them, basically coaching them a little bit on running their organization.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I've been to one Nicholls State game in the last since my daughter was born, and they played Valparaiso at Nicholls State where I went.
Okay. Yeah, it
Yeah,
must
oh
have
my
been
God.
early in the year.
My daughter was just born, yeah, so it was February. So a lot of you guys up north come down and play us, I guess, because it's too cold up there.
How'd that game go?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't remember.
Yeah. So what got you back into the game after your 5 year aversion?
Just like you, my friends still being in the game. So I was good buddies with the coach at Nichols.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you were averse to baseball in general?
I don't know if I was bitter, but yeah, it's always, I've talked to my good buddy Chase about this. Like, you always kind of feel like I'm just as good as that dude who's getting a shot, you know?
Yeah.
Like, scouts never talked to me to find out what was inside, and I felt like if they did, they would have given me a shot, but
Yeah.
things
Feel like
work
you
out
got
for a
snubbed.
reason. I know Valpo, they had what they called Arch Madness. They were like an 11 seed in the MVC tournament and lost to
Hmm.
Bradley University. Is Bradley in Indiana?
Bradley's in Illinois.
Illinois. Okay. I have a funny story about Bradley. When I was in third grade, the smartest kid in class challenged me to make a list of all the colleges or universities that you could name.
Hmm.
And at the top, I wrote Bradley because that was my name and that's what they called me when I was a kid.
Ah,
So when I
ah.
turned in my list, and then we turned it into the teacher, and they thought that I was just writing my name at the top. And I'm like, no, you got to count that one. And she said, that's not a school. I said, yes, it is. And this was before the internet. So we couldn't determine if it was true or not. So I don't remember if they struck it or if they let it stand. But anyway, that kid is now a doctor. You might find this interesting since we talked about New Orleans. He's a doctor in New Orleans, and his name is Patrick Jobert. And he spells it Gilbert. Jobert. How about that? I know
Sounds
a lot of people
French.
down there like that. What's that?
Yeah. Little French influence.
Very much. I know a girl named Julie who spells it Julie.
Oh,
Yeah. My
yeah.
brother just texted me yesterday about a guy named Jacques. So Jacques Godet, in fact, is his name.
Jacques
He's a
Godin.
doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like a guy from Paris.
yeah, exactly. Did you get a chance to play against some big schools, non-conference games?
Yeah. Yeah, quite a bit. Mostly northern teams. We played Notre Dame every year. We play all the Big Ten schools in Indiana. When we would go south, we'd play some bigger teams. I remember we got to play at NC State against NC State. Um, yeah, I mean not like massive. We never played LSU or Oklahoma or anybody like that. No SEC or even Big 12 teams, I don't think. But
How many fans does Notre Dame draw for baseball about?
they have a nice little stadium there, and they fill it up. I don't know how many fans that is. A couple
Hmm.
thousand.
Was Nick Swisher there playing center field?
I think that was after me.
Hmm.
They had
Oh, no, I think that was before you because he was about my age. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Yeah, I think he graduated in '03 because I saw this center fielder who was my height and left-handed, and I'm like, man, how good is this dude?
Wait, I thought Nick Swisher went to Ohio State.
Nope, Notre Dame. I'm
Went to
almost
Notre Dame.
positive.
Okay. But the speaking of Notre Dame, the one guy who did play on the team when we played against them was the margin. Yes, and
Mm,
he was a pitcher, and he threw absolute gas.
what a stud that guy was. Did he play wide receiver in the NFL
He,
and played for the Cubs?
no, 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 no. No, he just. I'm pretty sure he just played professional baseball.
Mm, he might have been the first white guy to ever play two sports. Huh? Has any other white guy done that?
Play two sports at the same time, like at Division One, high level Division One.
No, like Brian Jordan, Bo Jackson kind of thing, Deion Sanders.
Well, I don't think Samardzija played professional football.
Was Jim Thorpe a white guy? We're going before World War II here.
I can't
Yeah.
think of anybody else. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
So growing up in Ohio, you pulled for Cleveland?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How
I
far
grew
is
up in.
Akron?
Yeah, Akron's like 45 minutes from Cleveland.
So if we played the Kevin Bacon game, have you ever had any interaction with LeBron James?
Yeah, one level of separation. I went to school with in sixth grade, played basketball with, and was pretty good friends with Sheon Cotton, who is. Have you ever watched any of the LeBron documentaries? He was one of the
No.
five guys who went to St. B and took over the world with LeBron.
Mm.
He went on to play football, but yeah, he was on my bus every morning. He introduced me to a lot of rap music and various hand signs that he would throw to his brothers and cousins out the window.
Yeah,
He took me under his wing, educated me.
that's
He
cool.
was he was also a beast. He was probably 6'2" as a sixth grader and was dunking on people. So anyway, he's the one level of separation.
I imagine there are a lot of kids named LeBron in Akron.
I don't know. I feel like it's a typical name. Like it's not that like even before LeBron James got famous. Like LeBron is seems to me like a pretty common name.
Hmm.
I did play against LeBron, right? Because I played high school basketball, and early on we would still play St. V before
Hmm.
they just took off and stopped playing anybody local to them. I think I was on the JV squad at the time, but it's not like I guarded him or I got to play against him. But we did play him. My team played him.
Has he made big investments in Akron?
Huge,
Yeah.
massive, yeah, massive investments. Yeah, he went from a hero to a goat when he left and went to Miami. Not the good kind of goat, the bad kind of goat, and then back to a hero, just because he's been so supportive of the area.
Mm. What's the best MLB stadium you've been to? Your favorite?
Probably Wrigley. Yeah, it's either Wrigley or Fenway. Have you been to Wrigley?
I've been to both. Yeah.
Yeah, Wrigley. We were at I don't know a year or two ago. It is just pristine. It is so nice and historical all at the same time. And Fenway was also cool. My dad and I went and did two different tours of the stadium before the game, including one where we got to get on the field. So we saw Yankees Red Sox, and it was electric. And so
Mm.
my experience at Fenway was better, but the ballpark in general, I would say it's close, but I'd give it to Wrigley.
Me too. Actually, you know what my fear is? If they and I've been to the old Yankee Stadium and the new,
Hmm.
and my fear is if they can tear down the house that Ruth built, what would keep them from tearing down Wrigley someday?
Yeah, no idea. Nothing.
Me either.
Yeah, it's all
So
going to
since
come down to politics and money.
that's what it, yeah, you're talking about life there. It all comes down to politics and money.
Mm.
Since you mentioned bigger pockets, let's talk about real estate investing. What got you into it?
Bigger pockets.
Really? So you started checking out episodes and you were like, I want to do that too?
Yeah, I mean, after I played, I took a regular-ish job with the Army. I went and worked for the Army as a civilian, and it really wasn't that regular because I went and did Army training as a civilian in Fort Eustis, Virginia, and that meant putting on the uniform, pretty much as participating in all the stuff with the soldiers who were also in training. Went to PT every morning, shot guns, drove vehicles, slept out in the woods, all that stuff, all to just go take an office job as a civilian doing logistics. So that took us around the country, and then I liked it for a while, and then at some point I just felt like, God, man, I can't see myself just doing this 9 to 5 thing for the rest of my life and just pandering to somebody else, getting told what to do. So I quit. I quit my government job without really a plan and decided just to take some time off. So we had 3 kids at the time. They were like 5, 3, and 2. And my wife continued to work, and I stayed home with the kids for like a year and a half. On paper, it looked like a decent idea. It was a pretty rough time because
I was going to ask, what is that like as a man to do that?
it was it was very hard. In fact, I was just getting back into my journals from that time period recently, and just felt. Here's what I would summarize it in two ways. It was like this war between wanting fulfillment, wanting to do something outside of the house, but I didn't know what it was yet. Needing a mission, needing to do something bigger, but then also feeling like here's a chance to really soak in time with my kids, but really not feeling like I was like doing a good job with that either, because my mind was always constantly thinking about something else or into the future or thinking about goals, etc. So it was just like this internal war for a year and a half or 2 years.
Almost like men aren't wired for that, huh?
I don't think most men are. I don't think most men are.
No, it
Uh,
sounds like you weren't. If you're
I
thinking about
was
macro goals and
not. I was not wired for that. And there was a discussion with me and my wife before we made this call to have me stay home with the kids. We were determined that one person was going to quit their job because we were both working. Kids were going to daycare. It was a grind. And we were like, this is dumb. We need to figure this out. So for various reasons, we decided she was more career oriented. She had bigger career specific goals, and I was pretty much giving the middle finger to the W-2 life at that point. And so we're like, okay, you're going to stay home. We did not consider the fact that maybe I wouldn't be very good at it.
hmm,
And I think if you ask Amie and you ask the kids now, they wouldn't say the same thing. But I certainly did not feel like I was good at it. So there was this. That was a tough time, man. That was a really really tough time. And then I finally caught on to bigger pockets, and then decided, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. And so I just bought a shitty house. I just finally decided I'm gonna spend 35 grand on this absolute dump of a house, and figure it out from there. So that's what I
where
did.
was where was
Flip
it?
my first house. It was in Columbus. It was in Columbus, Ohio.
You know,
So I
they say
flipped
if
it.
you break even on your first one, that's good. Did you do good on it?
Yeah, I think we made maybe 30 grand or something, which I was happy about, and got a little taste of it and realized, huh, I can't imagine getting any worse than that. I mean, we dealt with everything. We dealt with a septic that I had to decommission and retie into the public sewer line. On my first flip, I had to figure that out, which was city permits, and that was big work. The most La Cucarachas that I've ever seen in one place in my entire life. That's cockroaches for all the gringos out there. And bed bugs and fleas and an overflowing septic into the backyard and through the up into the toilets. It was disgusting. So we dealt with everything, got it all flipped around, broken into. So that was my first time also getting vandalized, and wound up being a success. And I thought, man, I don't know how I could get any worse than that. So it seems to work pretty well. So I kept doing that for a couple years, and then decided I wanted to do more of it, and bought a home investors franchise, do it more at higher volume, etc. And that's where things kind of got a little faster paced.
Tell me about that. How do the financials work when you acquire a home investors franchise?
Yeah, so a home investors franchise, if you've ever seen a billboard that has a caveman on it and says "We buy ugly houses," that's what that is. And for me, as a guy who was already flipping houses, it was buying houses wholesale from wholesalers. So these are people who actually make the deal with the home owner and then sell it to somebody like me who's actually going to do the work and flip it or whatever. I was seeing the margins that they were making, and I wanted to get more of that upfront margin, which I knew meant I needed to go talk to the homeowners and get it directly from them. But that meant I had to figure out marketing, and I didn't want to figure out marketing. Home Investors is a marketing franchise, essentially. They do all the marketing for you so that they put the deal in your lap. You talk to the homeowner, negotiate the deal, and then take it from there. So that's what I wanted. And yeah, Home Investors franchise at the time, I don't know what it cost, maybe $50,000 to $70,000 or something like that. And so I bought it, and then you pay every month into a marketing pot where all the other home investors franchisees in the area, we basically pool our money, which makes us pretty powerful compared to other just onesie twosie marketers. At least at the time, that's what it was. And then the leads start coming in. So we have billboards, and we send out thousands of mailers, and sometimes we're on the radio, even TV. Home Investors does all the SEO and website stuff, so we don't have to figure that out. So the phone just starts ringing, and then you work with the homeowner to negotiate a deal and take it from there.
So you're paying for leads basically and marketing?
Definitely, yeah. You get some support. You get a community. You get education on the process. They certainly help you get better at negotiating a sale in the living room with the homeowner. Skills that I wouldn't have. I would probably would not have developed on my own. That they've been doing this for decades. And they're like, hey, here's some things you might want to consider. So it helped.
Yeah, the kitchen table close is the hardest close of any sales that I've done too. So you had to pay what 50 to 70 up front, and then you pay an ongoing, what is it, like a couple grand a month, do you have to give them a cut of a deal?
You pay whatever you want into the marketing fund, but the amount that you pay into the marketing fund is proportionate to the leads that you get. Make sense?
Yep.
And then yes, you do. There's various stages of your franchise, but you do pay on the back end at the sale of a house a very small percentage of the revenue, the top line.
And do you get realtors involved?
You can. A lot of the franchisees at the time, including me, we were licensed realtors.
Cool. How long did you do that?
Bought that and started it in late 2019 and did it till sometime around 2023 or so.
It's about 4 years.
Yeah, maybe about 4 years.
And then do you sell your stake in the franchise, or you just have to walk away?
Oh no, you can sell the franchise, and I did sell the franchise.
Did you profit or no?
I did sell it for more than I bought it for. I would attribute most of that though that the cost of a franchise in general went up over that time.
So it might have just been inflation.
Yeah, inflation and also just market driven. I think house flipping became way more popular between 2018 and 2023 whenever I sold it. And
Hmm.
home investors, they pay attention to that stuff. They're like, okay, I think we can charge more for these franchise. That's what I assume. But yeah, the cost of a franchise did go up.
You helped me get into a real estate deal in Biloxi, Mississippi.
How's that going?
Well, I appreciate you getting me into the deal, but it's not doing too hot. I don't know if I shared with you. So it's three apartment complexes in Gulfport, Mississippi, and the insurance went from about, I think it was $400 a door to $1,200 a door. So they had to halt all distributions. So, and it's
Yeah,
been that way for several years. And we were supposed to get our money back and then some within 2 years. And I think it's
yeah,
been four. And yeah, so it's
yeah,
not going well. So if I don't get my money
yeah.
back, I'll come after you
Sorry
on
about
that.
that.
No, they're good dudes. I mean, I like them. It's unfortunate. I've dealt with surging insurance costs with all my properties too. I'm sure you have. I
Yeah,
mean, it's probably not as bad as the Gulf Coast, but has
yeah.
insurance gone up for you?
I honestly don't pay much of attention to it, but I don't think it has very much.
Mm.
Not like down there. And
Yeah.
actually, I'm in another deal with those guys. I was in it before your deal, and it was going okay for about 2 years, and then it went cold. Same kind of deal.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something nefarious going on? Because we should probably get together on that if so.
I mean, I don't think so. I've looked at, they still send reports and stuff, and it sounds like there's just been higher vacancy, and interest rates, of course, were a factor because their whole play was to refi and hold, and then the refi game changed completely. So
So you were supposed to get all your money back in 2, 3 years?
yeah, whatever it was supposed to have already happened.
Yikes.
Yeah,
But you got distributions for a while,
did get distributions for a while.
but you're still out tens of thousands of dollars.
I mean, out. I mean, that money is still out there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
I think that's how it goes sometimes, man. It's like there's reward to be made if you have money because you have access to the kind of investments or opportunities that you don't have if you're sitting on a couple $100 or $1,000 or whatever. But at the same time, you're expected to do your own due diligence and your own homework and vet the deal and the people. And there's no guarantee that it's going to work out. So the other side of that is there's risk for sure.
Yeah. Do you own real estate today outside of that?
I do. Yeah. My
What
wife
do
and
you
I
got?
do. Just all single family stuff. We have a duplex. We have the most unique thing we own is a 25-acre farm about an hour north of us that has a 800 square foot house, a couple outbuildings. About half of it is hayfield, and other of it is forestable timber. And my wife operates it as an Airbnb, and it it's amazing. It's
Really? Oh,
amazing.
that's cool.
She wanted. She's done Airbnbs for a while. We have one in our neighborhood, and then she wanted something that was more remote, more of a destination, but not too far from the house. So we found this, and we walked the property. And the first time we were out there, she was like, "This is it. This is the one." She just had this gut feeling, and sure enough, we got it. A little bit of rehab and opened it up about a year later, and it's just been bonkers.
That's awesome. Maybe we can link to it in the show notes. What do you think?
Yeah, you can do that for sure. She's super proud of it, and it is beautiful.
Hmm. Where are your other properties located? And are they moderately priced, like 200, $300,000 homes or? Yeah.
Yeah. It's all in Central Ohio. We had one in Virginia. It was our original house. We literally just sold that, but everything else is in Central Ohio. We're not talking that many. We're talking less than 10 properties in total.
And is the goal there to retire on that money?
I don't think so. I think the goal with those properties is more long term. So I guess to your question, yes, but not in the way that I think we originally thought. I think when we started buying properties, we thought, okay, we're just going to mass all this cash flow, and then by the time we're 40, we'll have so much passive income and cash flow that we won't have to generate any more income. We quickly found out that math didn't math for us. So there's
Why
two
not?
things going on. One is a longer term play, so that whenever we decide that we don't need to earn active income anymore, that we have a good amount of equity and probably cash flow at that point that is will support our life. And two is we've stumbled into that this work of hosting people and taking care of people for Amie is probably a life work for her. She's very passionate about it and she's very good at it. And we're on the cusp now of deciding whether or not to just incorporate all our other long-term rentals into this same portfolio and just consolidate into hospitality and short-term rentals.
Interesting. I know your wife and my wife met, but my wife is, and again, they might be besties if they lived closer together. But my wife is the same way. We did an Airbnb and she loved it and she's good at decorating and she thinks it's a lot of work because of the turnover and stuff. So, but I like that vision for the future. What kind of
Yeah.
work does she do now?
She is a project manager. She works for, there's a lot of retailers down here in Columbus, Ohio. She does project management work.
And so you manage all your properties yourself?
We do not. We have not. We're very close to. We were really, really fortunate when we started to get properties in Columbus, Ohio, to find a really good and really affordable property manager. That lasted for about 5 years, and then they sold to a bigger property manager, and it's been a nightmare since. So that was probably about a year or two ago, and they've since sold again. So we'll probably wind up managing all our properties, even if we don't put them into this short-term rental portfolio.
So the standard rate for property management, if you have one rental, I usually tell people it's 10% roughly, and of course it's negotiable, but what kind of discount can you get when you have almost 10?
We didn't get a volume discount, but we got in at $85 a door,
Oh, that's
and
not
the
bad.
median rent in Columbus, I don't know what it is, but it's more than $850 for sure.
Hmm.
And we were getting really good service, and I didn't have to worry about the phone ringing in the middle of the night, or all the reasons why you get a property manager. So to me, like the economics of it probably didn't matter as much as just the peace of mind, but the economics also worked. And we've been grandfathered into that old rate. I don't know what people pay now when they sign up for this new property manager, but yeah, it's worked. It's not working as well anymore.
That's smart of them not to raise rates. I almost bought a storage facility with a buddy of mine, and he was talking about raising rates. And I did a little investigating. I like to talk to we have a couple storage units now, my wife and I like to talk to the people that work there. And one of them, over 5 years, more than doubled our rate. But when you buy a new one, when new management takes over, it's it's not always wise to try to inch up the rates because a lot of times you're calling people's attention to the fact that they even own a storage unit. They
Yeah.
just automated payments nowadays just keep
Right.
people doing that until they're
Yeah.
called attention to it. And it's like, wait, oh, wait, I have a storage unit. I don't want to pay that.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like a gym membership.
Exactly. I know that scam, where they tell you, oh, you can't cancel this month. You have to pay through the next
Right.
58 days. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah. So that is our journey to date with real estate.
So let's talk about what you're doing now. It's called EOS, right?
Yes, I am an EOS implementer, and EOS is just it's an operating system for a business. And what that means is, if you're running a business, it is basically a playbook for how to actually operate that business in a way that gets you what it is that you want. I stumbled into that because once I opened the Home Investors franchise, I had a partner, and then we started to build a team around us, and that's when things got crazy. When I was doing it by myself, it was pretty straightforward. It was a lot of work, but it was pretty straightforward. I didn't have to deal with all the complexity that comes with adding people to a team. And so it got crazy. I definitely was not good at it. I felt underskilled to be operating a business, first business I've ever operated. And I went and I found this book called Traction, which is basically a playbook for how to run your business better, how to understand what the vision and plan is, how to get right people, keep right people, how to use data to your advantage, build a process, and actually move the business forward instead of feeling like you're spinning your wheels, which is very common for business owners. They're out there spinning their wheels. They're working way more hours than they want to work. They feel like they're not reaping the profit that they want to reap. They're not having the impact that they want to have. They're not having the kind of impact on the world that they wanted to have when they started the business. And they feel like, I want to grow, but every time I grow revenue, profit doesn't grow with it. And so complexity grows and my time gets more involved. I lose more of my time, but I'm actually not gaining anything. These are very common frustrations for business owners, and EOS is just a solution to that. And I get to help them implement these tools so that they can get what they want, which is usually more revenue, more profit, get some of their time back, work with people that they actually enjoy, that will get the job done, and move forward towards the vision that they had for their business and their life from the get-go. And you can use these tools on your own. You can read the book and you can use the tools and implement them on your own. When you hire somebody like me who's an implementer, I can teach them to you at an expert level. I work with leadership teams, so then I can facilitate your team around these tools so that you guys are on the same page, you're communicating better than you would otherwise. And then I coach them around them too. I make them do what they say they're going to do. I hold up a mirror to them and show them things that they wouldn't otherwise see without an objective third party in the room, all to the end of them moving forward and getting done what they've always wanted to get done, accomplish.
So are you on a retainer or do you just charge a fee or how does that work?
Yeah, it's just session to session. So I always
Okay.
give anybody who's interested, they're like, yeah, I have a business and I just feel like we could be doing more, getting more done, and my life could be better. Whether you really suck now or you're doing pretty well and you think you could do better, I always give 90 free minutes just to show them the tools and the process and my style. At the same time, I'm trying them on as well, just to get a feel for how they think and operate and communicate.
Hmm.
And then it's about, on average, 5 sessions for 2 years. So 5 sessions a year for 2 years, generally on a quarterly basis. And I just charge for that specific day. It's not a contract. There's no upfront fees or anything. It's just, I show up, we do a session together. If you get value from the time we spent together, they write me a check. If they don't get value, they don't pay.
Hmm. And do you have to market for that business?
EOS does a pretty good job in terms of the marketing about EOS, but there's 900 implementers. So it's on me to develop business. And what works best is just creating genuine relationships with people, and helping and serving people from a place of actual service, actual love and care, and not because I need or want anything. And that works because I don't need that many clients. I probably have a capacity of somewhere around 15 clients. I'm at about 10 right now, and that's it. That's really not that many teams to work with.
And are you local or do you travel out of state? How does that work?
I do both. I have some teams that come to me from out of state, and I also travel to places like Oregon and Arizona and Chicago. I've spent a lot of time in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So yeah, I do travel, but I can also host people here.
Do you wear a suit?
I do not wear a suit. Nope. I'm pretty casual. I probably wouldn't wear this shirt,
I
but
was going to ask. That's cool. You told me about the book you mentioned, Traction. Gino Wickman, is that the author?
yeah.
Yeah, one of my biggest takeaways, I didn't read the entire book, but when somebody I respect recommends a book, I tend to peruse it. And my biggest takeaway was the importance of ensuring that members of your team have the same vision, that all of your vision is aligned.
Yeah.
And, well, probably my bigger takeaway, he talks about surrounding yourself with good people, which I know is what you try to do too. He said that great leaders surround themselves with great people. He does what's called a people analyzer. Is that the name of the chapter? Is that his program, People
It's
Analyzer?
it's just a tool. Yeah.
Okay. And it helps you to identify the right people for a
Hmm.
business. He wants the right people in the right seats, right?
Yeah.
That's what I read.
Yeah.
So he's teaching you how to determine if someone shares your values.
Yeah.
And how do you determine if someone shares your values?
Yeah. That's good. You did read it. The
I don't
what
lie.
the people component of the system of EOS is gigantic, and yes, the book starts with talking about vision, and it's really important to understand where you're going, and then how you plan to get there. But then also that your team understands where you're going and how you plan to get there. And it's amazing how many people start something or are far like have gone down the path of starting something and they're not really sure where they're going. They're just kind of doing it, but they don't know what the destination is,
Are you
which
calling me out here?
I don't think so. Is that where you're at?
Maybe. I mean, I
With
don't have a goal for the podcast. I'd like to impact people, but yeah, I
yeah,
don't have like a target. I want to grow my audience 10% in the next 6 months or anything like that.
right. I remember you saying that when we talked last week, is that you do have a vision for impact, and there's probably some version of that in your head of what that looks like and why that would be meaningful to you.
Yeah, if I could replicate some of my young guys, I would love to do that. Yeah.
And what does that mean? Replicate young guys.
I just have, I don't know if I told you I had a retreat in April in Costa Rica, and it was the best thing I've ever done.
Hmm.
It was so wonderful, man. It was, and my guys are studs, and they all realize this guy's here and he's like me. They were all like minded and they all just really benefited from it. And so next year, we had about 10 of us. Next year, if we had 20, I would be pleased with that. But like you in Homevestors, I don't like to do the marketing
Mm. Well, what would be meaning? Why is that? You said it's like the best thing you've ever done. Why? Why was it so
because
good?
they've benefited from it so much. And I love to see, I love to help others grow. And so I've seen their income skyrocket and their relationships get better and just living a better life. And that's what I want to do is help people because I do have some things that maybe I didn't realize I had until I started doing this sort of work. Like,
Sure.
oh yeah, I can help people. I'm sure you experienced some of that too.
What would what would you think? How would you feel if 20 years from now you never really did anything else more
Man,
with
should I
that?
put on a suit? Am I paying you for this? 20 years from now, if I didn't do anything with it, well, I say that I like my core group. I like the people. What I have to offer resonates with my core guys, and if it stayed the same size, I would be fine with it. Doing this the rest of the next 20 years. I love it that much. But we've talked about being wired to always improve, being sort of a self development junkie. I'm torn because I would love to see it grow and go up and to the right and have 20 clients. I don't have the capacity for that many, but I'm going to have guys drop off. I would say the average person stays with me about 3 years. Some people have been with me for 6 years since I started doing this. And if one drops off, I'd love to be able to pick up another one. I have room for one more right now, and I've been mentioning that on the podcast.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm torn. Yeah, I don't know. To answer your question though, I would be content. I love what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah. But it also feels like there's like you're mentioning that there's something inside of you that is saying, I think there's more impact
Hmm.
available here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I've thought about like if I were to record my calls and then scale what I share with them, that could be done, especially in the age of the internet. But I haven't taken the initiative to do that, and part of it is my health, to be frank, because I do have all this energy and ambition, but I can't work that many hours. And I also am torn because I don't know if I'd want to work that many hours. I don't want to work 12-hour days. I've
Is
done
that
that.
the
That's how I got
is that
here.
the only version of growth that's available?
Mm, what do you mean? Is that the only version of growth?
Well, you mentioned doing recordings and you use the word scale and this version of the future where you're increasing your impact, but it's only through like this massive marketing campaign and work major work effort. That the only way that it can grow?
No, I could package what I'm doing. And what I mean by scale is, like I said, record my conversations and extract the value from those conversations, package it, and then market it. I
Yeah.
could market this retreat that I did, and I plan to as next year approaches. So
Yeah.
I've got three or four guys that are verbally committed that didn't attend last year. So I think it'll grow.
What if you were able to add two or three guys to your current group of guys that you coach who were the exact kind of guys that you like to work with and were the exact kind of guys that get the most value from working with you?
Right now, so I don't know if I shared this with you. I only work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if I had to take on three guys, I'd have to expand and work more days of the week.
Okay. Yeah. So what if it was one?
Yeah, I want one more.
Yeah. But not two, right?
Not right now.
Yeah. So
Got to get my neck better.
why would you market to the masses if you don't want to work anymore
I'm
than you
not.
currently?
I don't market to the masses. In
Yeah.
fact, I don't know if I told you this. When I went through all the crap that I went through, I lost my email list that I had compiled for 7 years,
Mm,
and that was brutal, brutal.
yeah, I'm a little confused because you don't want to do this work of doing more work, let's just call it. You essentially want to add one client at a time whenever you feel like it's time to add one more client. But then there's this other running dialogue about packaging and marketing and scaling.
Yeah, that's so I'm confused too because I don't know what I want. And I tell my guys, we do goal setting workshops, and the hardest thing about goal setting is figuring out what you really want.
Yeah.
And the reason I keep leaning on my hand is because my neck is hurting like crazy. So it's hard to plan for the future when you have this health issue. Good questions. I can tell you're good at this.
Well, it's just listening for incongruency in the things that people are saying.
Mm,
The only reason I feel like I'm above average at hearing those and then asking about them is because I empathize with that reality. I've, that has been a real and constant struggle for myself, and
mm.
so I can hear it. I don't, and I would be curious for you, like who the voice, the voice of the person or the version of you or whoever it is that's telling you that you need to scale, that you need to package, that you need to market. What is that? Where is it coming from?
So when you have the fire inside, quote unquote, to retire at a really young age, it's hard to turn it off. You won't be content to sit on a hammock and sip margaritas. You've got to be productive. And so
Yeah.
even though I could be on the beach with my wife right now in Poland, they have beautiful beaches. I would struggle mentally if I wasn't helping others. And it's because I do feel this capacity to share. And that was encouraged by my good friends when I first started revealing myself. Or before I did, they were like, dude, you know some shit. You should share some of that. And so that's how
Yeah.
all this started.
Yeah.
And so I would feel like I'm doing the world a disservice if I'm not providing value to them.
Mm. And you already are.
Well, now that I've got a taste of it, yeah, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, if I would feel really braggadocious if I shared the numbers of like how much my clients' incomes have gone up
Why don't you share it?
because it just feels braggadocious. I don't know.
So you have this pull towards impact
Yeah.
for impacting people, and then when you actually drive impact, you are a little ashamed of talking about it.
Not ashamed. I've just always been, the guy who says he's humble's never humble.
Sure.
But I've always been sort of understated. Like I didn't like on Bigger Pockets when they started asking me specifics, and they wanted to know everything I owned, assets
Yeah.
wise, and I wasn't. This is the first time I've ever said this. I didn't share everything. I
Yeah.
didn't. I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's none of their business, and I don't. Yeah, I just don't like it. I
Yeah.
didn't like saying I was ripped to shreds. But I kind of tell stories about when I was younger now because I don't feel like it's bragging. It's just like the truth, and I
Right.
view myself objectively, and
Right.
I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah. I get it. And I know that you don't think this or I mean, I think you do think this. You know that the results that your clients have had has more to do with them than it does to do with you. You're an input to the system for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, if bragging about them, whatever that might look like, is just that. I mean, you're proud of them and the work
I
that they've
am
done.
extremely. Yeah, you're good at this. I'll send you a check, maybe.
Listen, dude, the only thing you've done is help them unleash potential that was already there.
Yeah.
And that's what a good coach does.
Yeah, I can relate it to baseball too because I didn't learn how to hit until I was a senior in college. My best friend had gone and played pro ball and came back and gave me one session in the cage, and my batting average went up 40 points that year, and I attribute it entirely to what he shared with me from pro
Yeah,
coaching. And
yeah,
so it just makes, like, when I got into the real world, I was like, I'm going to read every book I can get my hands on because I don't want that to happen professionally where I'm 45 years old and just getting the education I needed when I was 25.
yeah. That is the power of one-on-one coaching, though. Like, you could read a lot of books, you can learn a lot of things. One-on-one coaching, especially somebody who's good at it like you, the impact is exponential.
It is. And thank you for saying that.
Yeah. The other thing that you were saying is something I've recently realized about myself is growing up in this really class focused environment where me and my family and my parents and my aunts and uncles and everybody, we were very attuned to who had money, who didn't, where we stood, and that's carried with me. And so that has created this weird relationship with money and weird
Mm,
relationship with resources and weird relationship with still catching myself comparing myself to other people, whether it's about physical fitness or money or the size house they have, whatever. Man, I mean, it took me 40 years to really like for a light bulb to go on. Like, that is not useful at all.
yeah.
It's just because somebody has more money than me. First of all, money is just a resource. It's just a form of energy that flows in and out of people, and it doesn't matter as much as I have grown up thinking that it mattered beyond a certain point. And then it does nothing for me to compare myself to other people. That whole dialogue around money and comparison, just not particularly useful.
Yeah, it's part of why I don't like being in Houston. Our gym membership's $400 a month, and every car in there is brand new $80,000 to $100,000 cars. One of the things I hope technology advances to the point where someone's happiness could be measured, not self-reported, but how much fulfillment they feel. One of the things I learned once I got to the real world is that the people who live in those big houses, like I'll give you this example. I had a buddy that I worked with who's my dad's age, and he lived on the water in Clear Lake, beautiful house. We were sitting on lawn chairs, drinking a beer in the backyard, and across the water there were all these mansions. And he went down every house and said they're divorced. He was cheating. She in this house, she was on drugs, and he just went through, and everybody was dysfunctional, and it just told me none of that buys happiness. If I thought it did, I'd be working to get my wife the $5 million house if I knew that it brought happiness, and it
Sure,
doesn't.
sure.
You heard what Scotty Scheffler said the other day?
Mm-mm.
He said, "I don't care about winning all these tournaments. I care about being a good dad." And I feel that.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be interested to know what you're driving at. Like, if you could walk into the gym and see exactly how happy somebody was, would that make you feel better about yourself?
No, it would just better inform me as to how to go about living my life.
Oh, by the way, I know you're a religious guy. You're a ish, right?
Ish,
I,
yeah.
I think that system already exists, and it's as old as humans. I'm not particularly religious, but I do know about what they call the fruits of the spirit, which are patience, peace, kindness, etc., etc. I don't know them all, but to me, that's the score. That the kind of fruit that you bear naturally, without having to try or fake it, is a is an indication of what's going on inside. regardless of how much money you have or don't have.
That's well said. And as you get older, what's interesting is that your friends get wealthier and wealthier. And oh, I'm lucky. The people that I attract in my life don't care about that shit. I have buddies who are worth, I have one buddy who's worth $50 million, and he lives in a $300,000 house and drives a 2012 Pathfinder, you know?
Yeah,
They just know what's important.
right. And those people are a joy to be around.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also have doctor friends who are burned out and miserable and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting how much, I don't know if it's American culture or just like, I don't know what it is, but the attention and the chase is for the means. Because, you know, money is just a means to some sort of end. If you were to write down how much money you want and then like put that in a circle and then put a bunch of lines outside of that circle and write down what that amount of money would mean for you and how it would make you feel, that's the stuff you actually want. You don't want 100 grand. You want to feel peace. You want to feel like you want to feel some sense of self-worth, fulfillment. That's what you want. And the reality is all that's available to you right now. But my point is, you know, I grew up, you probably grew up thinking that what we actually are chasing, what we actually want is the dollar. And it skews the way people think about life, skews the way they think about themselves, and it dictates action and behavior in a way that's, at least for me, not always the most productive.
Yeah, and I think a lot of young guys think what gives them confidence is having things, having the fancy car and the nice house, and think they get confidence from that. But to me, that is all false confidence or a job
Right,
title. No, it comes from internally.
right. Yeah, but no one tells you how to get that confidence.
No, and
You
most
know what I
people
mean?
are not confident.
Yeah, because there's no formula. The easy thing is, hey, go make a bunch of money, and then people admire you, and then you can be confident. That makes sense in my monkey brain. The formula for actual real intrinsic confidence is way more complicated, and there's not a lot of people telling you how to do that.
That's true. And not a lot of people read, right?
Yeah,
Are you a reader?
I'm a reader.
Do you have a favorite book?
Are we on to the fun questions?
Nope. We can be.
Uh, I have no idea. I think that question is tough, but right now, what's top of mind for me is a book called Lovable by Dr. Kelly Flanagan, and it's on topic for what we're already talking about, which is about realizing that your sense of self-worth and your confidence it's there. It's just inside of you already, there ready for you to rediscover about yourself. And that our patterns of looking for it externally through relationships or from jobs and money, it's all empty. But that book I've read it 2 or 3 times now, and actually I work with Dr. Kelly as my coach currently, and for me it's been life changing. I think it's changed a lot of lives.
I was observing my daughter the last couple of days, and we've taken her to do some really awesome things, like at the beach or a trampoline park. And I'll talk to her at the end of the day and say, "Did you have a good day?" And it's like she can't reflect, right? She is entirely present state focused. And if she's having fun in the moment, that's all that matters. And
Yeah,
I find that so interesting. And it's just something that you don't get to observe when you're not a parent. And there's so much to learn from that, to
hmm,
be in the moment and enjoy it. Like this is enjoyable. I'm not thinking about anything else in the world,
right,
right?
right, yes.
And that happiness is a byproduct of that, I think.
Yeah, is that flow state? Is that what?
That's what I talked about on the last podcast episode. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
flow state.
yeah. What a great thing that is. How old is she?
4.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about something similar this morning and just wondering at what age I wasn't in that intense present moment as often. At what point did I start worrying about the future? At what age? I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
answer, but at some point you do.
Well, it's interesting too what you expose kids to and how that shapes their future. So, one of the delights of being able to travel as we are is my little girl is being exposed to all these different things and exposed to these different people and cultures. So, thinking back to when I was 9 years old, having a brother who was 4 years older than me gave me something to aspire to and surpass if I could. Or
Sure.
I was really into basketball and I would see these guys when they were 12. We played on 8.5 foot goals and these guys were playing above the rim. And so I would jump every day and try to touch the rim because I wanted to someday play above the rim. If I hadn't seen them playing above the rim,
Right.
I wouldn't have done that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So is that worrying about the future or I mean that would be the positive aspect of thinking about the future.
Yeah. I mean, there's positive and negative to almost everything. Yeah. I was just curious about that for myself mostly. Just when did I start thinking that the present moment wasn't as fun, wasn't worth as much as I did when I was younger?
Hmm.
Why? And now everybody's, not everybody, but a lot of people who are maybe well read or considering self improvement and self growth. Now the journey is to get back to that, to
Yes.
figure out how to be present.
Well, and reflecting on your childhood and what was it that totally absorbed you when you were 9 years old? That's
Amen.
probably what you should get back to as an adult.
Amen. Yes. Yeah, because there's a little peek into who you really are, because it's a peek into what captured your attention and interest at an early age.
Naturally,
Yeah.
yeah, which is who you really are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What is
Mm.
that for you?
Well, when I was a kid, I would spend so much time in my room. And one of the reasons my wife and I get along so well, I'm convinced, is because she did too, just staring at the ceiling and maybe listening to music. But I think that generates a certain wisdom and calm and equanimity to where, like, my wife is not neurotic at all. And I think that a lot of women, girls that I dated who were somewhat neurotic, they were always distracted with something and they didn't take the time to pray and to just being raised in the church and you being forced, I had to go twice a week, being forced to sit there for an hour and just be alone with your thoughts and with God, that
Yeah.
engenders a certain calm and peace and everything's going to be okay and you're alone with your thoughts. I heard Sam Harris talking about one time. He lived in California, I believe, and he was talking about, he's a big meditator and he went into his kids' classroom and he said they had them all sit quiet for 15 minutes like a meditation and he was just going on and on about how great that was. And I was thinking, I did that all the time. Like
Yeah.
even when I wasn't forced, I did that. Or I rode my bike and just was alone with my thoughts, just riding my bike everywhere.
My question for you is, when's the last time that you felt like you were in flow state? What were you doing?
Talking to you.
I was thinking the same thing. Like when you're in conversation and it's interesting and it's reciprocal, and you lose track of time.
Yeah, I think some people do podcasts for that reason.
Mm,
It's addicting. It's like being a gambling addict at the casino when you lose all time and money.
that,
Except this is more healthy.
yeah, that sounds.
The
Yeah, I was
addiction.
gonna say that sounds really super negative, but
Yeah,
it's got to be healthy. I mean, other than you having to sit in a chair and your neck is killing you. I mean,
it
it's
is.
it's got to be it's got to be good for
Yeah. Yeah, I can see why Rogan does 3 episodes a week or whatever he does. It's very enjoyable. You might find this interesting. Speaking of childhood enjoyment and getting back to it, I wonder if some of what we're doing now isn't because when I was a kid and would ride my bike, my mom would only she wouldn't let me go past the stop sign. So I had to stay on our street.
you. Hmm.
But I was rebellious, and I probably still am today. And I would go all across the town, miles away. And I loved navigating different routes to where I wanted to go.
Mm.
And my grandma, when I was about 30 years old, told me that when I was 4 years old and she would take me to daycare, I would do that to her. And she was always impressed that we would go a different route every time because she would come in from New Orleans and stay with us and she didn't know how to get to daycare. So I would drive us a different route every time and she said, "You know what, Bradley? We always ended up at the same spot." And I was so impressed.
Interesting. Is do you you seems like you've been able to translate that into your world travels.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I wonder if it wasn't deliberate, but that's what I do here. I take different routes to get to the office. I took a
Mm.
train today for the first time. Sometimes I take Uber and I walk around the old town and just I love discovering new places and new routes. That's fun to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. There you go. Sounds like you have some known ways for Brad to get into flow state.
Yeah. What about you? When you were a child, what were you obsessed with?
Playing. I was actually asking my dad about this. We golfed last week, and I was like, "What was I like when I was 5 or 6? What was I into?" And he was telling me all these things, but one of the things he just said is, "You were always so excited to play baseball. You
Mm,
wanted to play constantly, and it didn't matter who it was with." And then the funny thing is, now I see that in my son. He is gung ho every single day to go outside and just play with his buddies. They play every sport and game imaginable. If there isn't one available to them, they're making it up. Kind of the same thing.
that's awesome. So you don't have to limit screen time with him?
No, not with him.
That's great.
Yeah.
So is it your boy's your oldest?
No, he's our middle. So we have a 14-year-old daughter. He's 12, and then they have a younger sister who's 11.
Okay, how did you decide to have a third child?
You're assuming we decided. And Clara, if you ever listen to this, I love you a ton. I'm glad, we're
I wasn't
so glad
decided.
you're here. Um, but yeah, so they are 13 months apart, 13 or 14 months apart. So it was, you know,
Back to back.
it was back to back. Yeah, I remember calling
Yeah.
my grandpa, who has since passed away, when Amie got pregnant with Clara, our youngest, and he goes silent on the other end of the line. I mean, when he comes back, he just goes, "What are you doing?"
Hmm.
I know, Grandpa, but it's gonna be great, and it
Yeah,
has been. Yeah, it's been great.
that's awesome. I always like to ask that question, and that's usually the answer. And I guess I feel comfortable asking because I'm an accident myself. Have you ever asked your parents if you were a mistake?
I haven't.
Not a mistake. I shouldn't say
Yeah, yeah.
mistake.
In oopsies, if you will. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't. I was born when my dad was 20. He had just turned 20, so my parents were
Mm.
super, super young.
So the answer is yes.
It's probable. Yeah.
Your parents contacted me. They wanted me to tell you on this podcast for the first time that you're actually adopted.
It makes a lot of sense because I tower over both of them.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you like, 6'3", 6'2"?
I'm 6'4". My dad is 5'9", and my mom's probably 5'5", 4'5", 4", 5'5".
I don't know what it is about me, but I attract 6'4", 6'5" guys. My best buddy is 6'4". Most like at least three of my clients are 6'5". I don't know what it is.
Well, it's probably the circles that you ran in. Like you're an athlete. You run with athletes. Athletes tend to be
Yeah,
on the larger size.
maybe that's it. I was always, if there were 25 guys on my university squad, I was the second littlest every year, regardless. Like
Yeah.
people would graduate, and I was always the second smallest, which builds confidence, by the way. Because I remember when I was recruited, looking at the roster and seeing guys like all the outfielders were 6'1", 210 pounds, and I was like 5'9", 5'10" ish, 185.
Yeah.
But then you get there and you can hit the ball just as far as them, and that builds confidence too.
Were you always confident?
Yes. So that's interesting too. So I was a standout as like a 10, 11, 12-year-old, and I always wanted those feelings of being the best. If I was the best athlete in my class in 7th grade, I knew what that felt like, and I always wanted that. And then I learned in high school that if you wanted to maintain that, you had to work at it. And that's carried with me to this day. I mean, I remember going to a buddy's house who had a brother who was 5 years older who was successful, and he
Mm.
was in his room, and I thought, I bet he's in there reading. I think he was passed out. He was addicted to drugs, and I didn't know that, but I thought, yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, interpret things the way that best serve you, right?
right. Yeah, constantly.
Yes.
The Okay, so you feel like you were born with confidence.
No, but I realized like I didn't do well in school, but I never felt like I was dumber than everybody because I
Mm.
was always pretty quick and I could speak okay. So I never felt inferior despite finishing in the top 80% of my high school graduating class.
Hmm. Yeah, that's. I don't think that's common, Brad.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know everybody. I know a lot of people. I would say. I think confidence is something that you're born on a continuum with it, and you
Hmm.
can increase it and you can decrease it. But it does seem like there are people who are just born with a higher level of confidence than others.
And I was also somewhat precocious in this way. So when I was 11 and I was 10, my brother started having girlfriends. He was in ninth grade, and I would hear him on the phone with his girlfriend, like fighting or something, and I would think, why would he handle it that way? And then when my parents divorced, and it was a very, very ugly divorce, and I would think,
Oh.
why are they handling it this way? I wouldn't handle it that way. So I
How
almost
old,
felt more adult than my parents.
how old were you when they divorced?
11?
Okay. And how was the marriage before that? How did it, as a child,
Good.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of random. Felt random.
It felt sudden, but to give you an idea, speaking of this precociousness, when my dad told me he was leaving, I knew why. I just sensed it, and I said, "Oh, is it for this woman?" And he said, "Yes." How did you know that?
How did you know it?
I'm good at reading people. I have this intuitive way that you've probably heard me talk about this before, but when I'm in dialogue, things slow down for me the same way they would like an NBA player who
Mm.
the basketball hoop feels really
Hmm.
big.
Hmm.
That's how I am with people, and it could just be from experience, like having a lot of dialogues and getting to know people and studying it and journaling, and that's all enhanced it. But I had to be attracted to it initially to even take the time to study it and get better at it. And going into sales and all that helps, and you have to persuade people.
Yeah.
I saw
What did?
something Naval Ravikant posted yesterday. It said, charisma is projecting confidence and love at the same time.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Whatever it is. I mean, what a gift to have it.
Well, yeah, and it helps not to be embarrassed. And I tell people to ask, you may have seen me talk about this before, but ask your buddies what is it that they like about you, and then
Right.
do more of that. And you'll be
Right.
surprised. Like I remember asking a good buddy one time, why do you think people like me? And he said, you get really excited to see people. And
Mm.
I never thought about that before. But when I was in high school and I saw my friend George, I would always give people nicknames. His name was George Koutros. So I called him Hootros Koutros. And I would say, Hooch. And he would get big smile on his face. And I don't know, I've liked people that I like, I really like.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
makes people feel good to be liked.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm self-conscious less when I approach people.
Sure.
Yeah.
And is that exercise of asking people around you about you, is that something that you ask your clients, that you coach to do?
No, but I know what it is that they like about me. I mean, they share feedback with me all the time, what they're getting from it.
No, I'm asking, do you ask them to go ask their people?
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay. So that's something that you prescribed for them.
Oh, yeah. I prescribe a lot of things. And I tell them, take what's useful and discard the rest. I don't have an ego in the deal.
Sure. You can't. Otherwise, you're in the way.
Yeah. You might find this interesting. We were watching a show the other night, and the guy was talking about the terrible feeling when you wave, you think somebody's waving to you and you wave back, and then you realize they're not waving to you, and you get this sinking feeling in your stomach. And I
Yeah.
told my wife, I don't get that feeling. And she was like,
Yeah.
really? And I said, yeah, I think it has something to do with this lack of ego, to where what I do in that situation is I turn to the person behind me and then laugh about it so that they can be happy too. Like, I want everybody to be happy. And if I can generate that in the moment, that's taking myself out of it and just being like, I don't mind being the butt of the joke if it makes people happy. And that's probably confidence too.
So you're unembarrassable.
I wouldn't say that. I think everybody probably is, and I'd never say I'm unembarrassable because somebody will find a way to embarrass me. I certainly have insecurities,
Yeah. Yeah.
not many, but yeah, somebody could poke, probe, and find them, I'm sure.
Speaking of not many, well, my question to you would, has that been a journey for you? Have you had less insecurities as you've gotten older?
Well, I definitely remember in my 20s thinking that people say people in their 20s think that they know it all. And I kept thinking, what is it that I don't know? And I couldn't figure it out. And then when I got to be in my middle 30s and 40s, I realized, God, I did some stupid shit in my 20s.
Sure. Yeah.
I just didn't know what I didn't know. And
Sure.
a lot of times you can't know until you go through it.
So did you have more insecurities then?
No, because I didn't know. No,
So you have
I didn't.
about the same or more insecurities now just because you're more aware?
Yes, I guess so.
Interesting.
But there's not a lot of them. There are just certain small things that somebody could get me. And I had a buddy call me out for it one time, and I looked at him like I wasn't impressed, and he's never said anything about it again.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you have something like that about you, that if somebody prodded you, you'd be like, "Ugh, you just can't smile about it and laugh it off?"
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. The What I recently heard was that actually it was through the realm of triggers, which I think is really kind of the same thing. Like if somebody touches a piece of you that makes you feel a certain way, you can call it a trigger or an insecurity or whatever, but that's what's happening. Somebody is touching a sensitive part of you and you're reacting to it. It was saying that the more aware you get, and hopefully you get more aware as you get older, although I don't think a lot of people do, the fewer things that trigger you, and certainly the fewer things that are outside of you that don't have to do with your closest friends, closest family, the things that don't have to do with the closest things to you, stop triggering you. And which is to say that the more that external things bother you and trigger you, the less aware you are. But there's always those insecurities that are closest to you, like something your wife will say or something that your kids will do, or those things that you hold most dear to you. Those are the things that are hardest to not get triggered by or not be insecure about anymore.
Yeah, I would say having a family too helps, because regardless of what happens externally, you still have your wife and kids, and they love you no matter what.
Yeah.
And that helps.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think your relationship with your wife and then your relationship with your kids is a great opportunity to learn more about yourself, because they're, at least for me, they're going to get you in ways that maybe no one else has got you before, and expose you in ways that maybe you've not been exposed before. And that's a great opportunity to learn.
What have you most learned from being a parent about yourself?
I would say what I've learned, like my biggest learnings are just about myself. The example that, the one example, because there's been many, the one example that I've dealt with my entire parenting journey, and I still deal with less frequently, but still deal with, is the kids being defiant, or let's just say they're leaving their stuff around. Like I've asked them to clean up their crap and they're not cleaning up their crap. I I literally take that as a middle finger to me. Like, you leaving your shoes there is you saying that you fundamentally don't care about me or what I said. And it, like, dude, it infuriates me. Like it really gets me.
You sound like a
And
wife.
what's that?
You sound like a wife.
Sure. It just, because it's not about the shoes. It's about me interpreting that as how, like, you don't respect me. You don't respect my authority. You don't genuinely care about me, whatever it is. And I'm starting to get better at it, where it doesn't make me as mad as quickly. But that's been a constant thing.
Mm,
Any communication or slight indication of a lack of respect for me from my kids has been a sensitive spot.
that's interesting. I don't deal with that. My daughter listens to me. My wife tells me almost every day, "Can you please tell Aria to do X?" Because she won't listen to her, but she will
Totally.
listen to me 100% of the time. But if I
Yeah.
had three kids, I think I might be going through what you're going through. So much
Well,
respect.
we have that same conversation. The kids do listen to me more so than Amie, but it's just this kind of random stuff that kids just do. Kids leave their stuff places, Brad.
Oh, I know. I had a buddy tell me that he lost respect for his wife when the kids wouldn't listen to the mom, but they listened to him. And I thought that was so odd. Like I've never felt any lack. I thought that was really odd.
I think it's, I don't know this guy, but I would imagine it's just thinking about the roles of the husband and the wife in a way that is probably a little misguided.
I agree. All right, you want to do fun questions?
Just do fun questions, man.
All right. Who is the most exciting baseball player? Most exciting player in baseball besides Otani?
Well, I'm a Guardians fan. Jose Ramirez is my guy. Jose Ramirez is a stud. He's a Hall of Famer, will be a Hall of Famer. He plays so hard. He runs so hard. He gave up money to stay in Cleveland. He didn't go to the All Star game so he could rest and take care of his body and come back in better shape than he did for the team. I just saw the other day he brought his daughter out and did a first pitch with his 3 or 4 year old daughter at the beginning. It's probably my favorite player to watch of all time.
Hmm. What about when you were a kid? Who was your guy?
Well, again, Indians guys, but Jim Thome, also another absolute stud who was an outstanding community member and citizen, just a good dude. And then who doesn't like watching guys like Manny Ramirez and Albert Bell mash home runs at the rate that they were doing? It was exciting. It was a lot of fun.
You know, one of the things I regret as a kid is trying to mimic the swing of Will Clark or King Griffey Jr. and not being my own guy. And I know PCA, the guy we discussed earlier, he was mic'd up at the All-Star game recently and said if he had to give any advice to a kid, it was to be yourself.
Yeah,
And that makes so much sense in baseball.
I think it makes sense now, but I think as a kid, however old you were, or whoever's hearing that, they don't know what that means.
That's true. Well, it would mean, I guess, quit copying people. When I was 9, my dad brings this up quite a bit. I was the only one shooting a jump shot, and the reason I was doing that is because Chris Jackson played for LSU, number 35.
Hmm.
He went to Denver. He played in the NBA as Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, but I was just copying him, and
Yeah,
so I guess it's good in some ways and others
that's what
not.
kids do. Yeah,
Yeah.
they mimic people who are doing it and who are older than them.
Does being 4 breed a sense of confidence in you?
I think so. Yeah. Although I think sometimes too, I have felt like Big Bird in a room, like just like bigger than everybody, kind of taking up a lot of space.
And
Um,
does that make you kind of hunch? And because I know you have to probably lean in to hear people.
Maybe I would say if you saw my like profile, I probably am a little bit leaned forward, like and head is out, but I don't know if that's why. I think it's just because my head was so big for so long, my neck's gotten tired.
Yeah. I tell my guys who are 6'5", I'm like, I can't imagine myself 6'5", like with the way that I walk, which is not deliberate, but it's very, my buddies make fun of me because I do walk in a room like I own it. And if I was 6'5", I would feel guilty for walking the way I do.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think more often than not, my stature makes me confident.
Yeah. As it should.
Yeah.
All right. You did well with the first fun question. You want number two?
Número dos. Let's go.
What is the most memorable negotiation you've ever had, and what was your biggest takeaway?
Oh, you know what? We bought a house that we actually moved into it, and we still have it. We turned it into a rental, but we came in way under asking price. We were negotiating the purchase of a house that we were going to move into, and we
Hmm.
came in way under asking price. And the lady, she came back and said, "Okay, fine, you can have it at this price, but you have to pay for this foundation work that she had scheduled that she was going to do."
Hmm.
And we were like, "Okay." And all we did was just have somebody go out and look at it and basically said, "You don't really need anything. I would just maybe put a couple $100 into doing this and that, and you'll be fine." And we got it at that super discounted rate, all because what I learned was she was in a hurry, and it's not, and making a big decision like that, the person who has more time and less to lose is probably going to win. And we did.
Speed kills, yeah, a
Yeah.
negotiation.
Hmm.
Yeah, I call it, and I didn't come up with this, but deferring to the committee. If somebody's trying to rush you, just
Right.
say, you know what, I need to talk to my wife or whatever the committee is, the
Right.
car salesman who needs to go check with his boss. And it could be as little as, hey, dude, like I advise people on negotiations all the time. I'm like, if you get in trouble, just step out, go to the bathroom, call me, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't let them rush you. It'll kill
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. That was a good one. That's a good house.
What is the most memorable vacation you've ever had?
Man, last year we went to France for the Olympics as a family.
Went to where?
France.
Oh, France. Yeah.
Yeah. uh, so we saw the women's national team, U.S. team, play Australia and Marseille. We saw track and field. We got to see some boat racing and stuff. Freaking fantastic. And then on the back end of that, we spent 8 or 9 days in Barcelona, just south of Barcelona. That was my kid's first big international trip, and we were very excited about it for a very long time. And it was awesome, absolutely
How,
awesome.
did, how does that work when you go to the Olympics? Do you buy tickets per day or per event?
Yeah, it's pretty run of the mill, typical, like you would for any other event. You just go buy tickets for the actual event.
Did you see the opening ceremony?
We were not there for the opening ceremony, which we considered, and we were glad we didn't go because it poured. It was a it
Mm.
was a it was a mess. So we didn't see the opening ceremony.
You ever watch that documentary on the guy Pistorius in South Africa?
With the legs,
Peg legs? Yeah.
I don't think I've seen the documentary. No.
Yeah. Don't watch it. Because my biggest takeaway was this dude's running on two peg legs and beating the shit out of everybody, and the others only have one peg leg. And that's not fair.
Yeah, and then he didn't he kill his girlfriend or something?
He did.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's an interesting documentary. In court, they call the judge my lady.
my lady.
My lady. My lady. Yeah. Any desire to go to Africa?
That's random. Sure. Yeah, I want to go to all 7 continents.
Yeah. Well, it's only random if I didn't talk about South Africa
True.
the
Yes.
seconds before.
Yes. 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 In fact, I just saw. Uh, we follow these other travelers, and they just did this river safari thing, river cruise between Nambia and Botswana on the river there. It looks awesome. I would do that
Mm,
for sure.
yeah. There's so much to see. When I was there, people kept talking about going to see the gorillas and or you're on a
Mm,
safari and they're like, "Oh, well you need to go see the mass migration in Kenya," yeah. So there's
mm,
a lot.
yeah. Yeah.
All right, if you could turn any activity into an international thing, see how this isn't random?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You ever have people tell you, "Oh, that's so random"? Well, yeah, that makes life interesting when shit's random. I say shit a
Yeah.
lot. Sorry about that. Anyway, if
I'll
you
give
could
it
turn
credit.
an activity into an international thing, something that you think you'd be competitive in, what would that be? Like an Olympic level event?
Yeah. I can really drink liquid very fast.
Interesting, because I've never been able to shotgun a beer.
Yeah. I can drink a beer very fast. I can drink a bottle of water in less than 5 seconds. I don't know. I think if I worked on it, I could probably stand on the podium. I think right now I would just, have a pretty good shot at. I'm above average at that.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. I can drink like a whole bottle of water if I'm not thirsty.
Yeah.
So I may be similar. Now I have to drink it. I have to swallow, 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 swallow. I can't chug
Yeah.
it, down it like a shotgun
Yeah.
beer. But I don't have to be thirsty, and my wife is amazed with that. I could just drink water anytime,
Yeah.
anywhere. I think it's benefited me.
Totally. Yeah, and it
You
might
think
be
so
just
too?
something that you have, like, you at some point you were like, water is good for me. I'm just going to drink it even if I'm not thirsty, and then you got used to it.
Exactly.
But yeah, like that bottle of water, I could just, as fast as it'll come out, it can go down my gullet.
Man, you got talent.
It is.
You should start
Yeah.
An Olympics for that.
Oh, so speaking of that, there is a challenge that's out there that I heard about from my 11-year-old that I haven't done yet, but it's two hot dogs and a beer in 1 minute in 60 seconds.
Could you do it?
I haven't tried yet, but I think I could do it.
I had a hot dog for lunch. I love hot dogs.
They're so good. Would you have?
Just mayonnaise and mustard.
Mm, classic.
Yeah, I do like pickle relish as I get older.
Yeah, I like it all. Sauerkraut, all the fixins.
All right, what do you think is America's biggest geopolitical risk or economic uncertainty? What are we scared of, according to you? What should we be scared of?
Honestly, I think I have an unpopular opinion on this. I think what this country needs is more human to human connection, more sitting down like we've been doing, especially in person. And I feel that we've already taken leaps away from that with what happened in COVID and all this virtual meeting and Zooms and people leaving the office and all this. And now with AI and people thinking that they can replace human connection, human energy with AI,
Mm,
with GPT. What scares me the most, maybe not scares me the most, but I think an example of this is I'm in a community with a bunch of guys who are hard charging business owners. There's a lot of them who are so excited about being able to use chat gpt to be their coach, to be
mm,
their therapist, to be their psychologist. And then you find out that what they've done is they've put their own thoughts into this bot, and then the bot is essentially regurgitating an echo chamber of their own thoughts and
mm.
feelings anyway. And so they don't realize it, but they're just in this endless
Loop.
loop of their own thoughts, and there's no input from talking to somebody like you and you saying, wait a minute, what the hell are you talking about? Why do you believe that? Anyway, so that's something I think that people are super excited about, that I'm actually a little bit not as excited about.
Would you say that what you're doing now is similar to consulting?
We say we are not consultants, and the biggest difference is that a consultant gives you answers. A consultant comes in and says, "Oh, this is your problem. You should do this," and then the people you're helping tend to become reliant on you, and then you form this reliance and this dependency, and then you're there forever. It's not what we do. We don't give advice. We're not your guru. I teach you tools. I facilitate your team around these tools, and I coach you. And this is all on the premise that the wisdom is already in you, and it's already in your team, and it's my job to extract it to help you solve problems. And in that way, I'm not a consultant, and I'm not going to stick around forever. It's going to be about 2 years on average, and then you're going to get it. I'm going to get out of your way. I'm not going to embed myself in the business.
I saw where Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, he teaches a
Yeah.
class at Harvard in the business school, a graduate level class. And he likes to ask them how many of them plan to go into consulting, like Accenture, McKinsey, that sort of thing. And he says 3/4 of the class raised their hand. And he sees it as his job if he'll consider himself successful if he can talk at least 4 people per class out of consulting.
Mm,
And he says the reason is because when he looks at a resume and it shows consulting work, that they've worked 100 hours a week for 3 years, worked them to death with nothing to show for it but writing reports.
mm.
And to hear him say that, I thought that was interesting. I have some buddies in consulting, and I can tell you they're concerned about AI removing their job.
Yeah, sure.
Is that a concern for you at all?
Nope.
No?
Not a
Good.
concern for me at all, because I understand the power of having an objective third party who reads human energy and unspoken communication between people. And I mean, at least the versions of AI right now, they're not going to do that. And it's like, I mean, you're a coach. Are you worried about AI replacing the kind of bond and insight that you can give to your guys?
No, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to do the retreat because I hadn't met a lot of those guys in person, but we had spent so much time on the phone and it was wonderful to connect with them. And a lot of them would say, "Man, it was so cool to see how you interact with guys." And, I'm oblivious to it. I don't realize they're observing me, but yeah, it builds something even more special. And there were guys I told them I loved them before they left. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
If Obama is guilty of orchestrating he's being accused of, a years long coup, what do you think his punishment should be?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's awesome. I love when guys don't pay attention to politics.
Yeah. Do
But
you? Because
do I?
you're super interested in it. Do you really
I
feel that?
am interested because of the human element. I think it's a fascinating way to study human behavior and communication, which I'm a big student of. I started paying attention when I got into the real world and watching George W. Bush and John Kerry and thinking these guys are like the ultimate, I've got to sell myself. And so I want to observe them and see how they communicate and how they're persuasive. And I do the same thing with
Mm,
Trump. I think people who can't take away something from Trump and learn something from him are idiots. And I
mm,
said the same thing about Obama. You can
mm.
learn something from anybody.
Yeah,
And it's the
totally.
same way I coach, right? You might not like me, but and I have all walks. I've got a San Francisco liberal client. I've got guys from Portland. I've got guys from the deep south. Everybody's
Hmm.
different in their political views, but they see the value in what it is I provide and discard my political views if that's
Yeah,
what serves you.
yeah, that's good. Those are the kind of guys you want to work with.
Yeah. All right. These are some fun money questions. If I gave you $100,000 and said you have to invest it in a tech company, where would you put the money?
Wherever you told me, Brad.
I like that answer. It's honest. If you were handed $1 million tomorrow, one of the things I caught myself doing, I would say if I gave you $1 million, and that is I so don't like that. So you want to replay the tapes of your performance, and like how arrogant is this guy to say if I gave you $1 million? Why doesn't he say if you came into $1 million or if someone handed you $1 million? So I don't
Yeah.
like that the cocky nature of the way I
Yeah,
ask.
and you're probably the only person who listened to that and thought, what a cocky bastard.
Yeah. Who the hell does this guy think he is? I'm going to discard him entirely. If he has any other value, I'm not going to pay attention because I've
Right,
branded him an arrogant a-hole.
right.
So $1 million tomorrow, what would you do with it?
I would give a bunch away, especially my parents. My dad he wants to retire and he wants this bright red Z71 truck or something. And that's like his thing. He wants that so then he can retire and not have to worry about buying a car during retirement. I would buy him that. I don't know, probably pay off my parents' house, pay off all our mortgages, we're already going on a trip. So
Where to?
we're going to sunny Florida for a week, and then we're going to Puerto Rico, and we're staying on Vieques, which is an
Hmm.
island off of Puerto Rico. We're excited about that.
What did you learn about that island?
We had been to Puerto Rico before, and we liked it a lot. And so we knew there was two other islands there. There's Calabria and there's Vieques, and Vieques is a little bit bigger. So we said, let's give that a rip.
How do you spell that?
Vieques.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we're in Florida.
Indian Rocks Beach,
Where's that?
north of St. Pete.
Hmm.
Yep. That's about all I got, man. I probably have a lot left over, and I don't know. I don't know what I would do with it.
If you were on Jeopardy and got to choose the final Jeopardy category, what would you choose?
Oh, like something I know a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
I could choose anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what would you
Like
want it to be?
I would say, then I would love it if the category was Harvey Yergin, because no one's going to know as much about
Do
about
you
that as
consider
me.
yourself a student of your own life?
Yes, I do. I do.
And what advice would you give to somebody who's 27 years old that the benefit of being a student of your own life, what would that be? Biggest benefit?
The biggest benefit is understanding yourself more, to be more familiar with yourself in ways that we've already talked about on this episode, of knowing what you enjoy, what makes you happy, what puts you in flow state, but then also what pisses you off and maybe why. Because it'll create better decisions in the future, and you're going to have more fulfilling, deeper, more lasting, and mutually beneficial relationships with other people if you understand yourself more.
Word. And that is like number one, relationships in my mind.
It's it, man. It's it. I got to tell you this. I recently, my buddy told me to do this exercise. It's a long drawn out exercise, but essentially it is, you go through this meditation, you envision that you've already died and that you are writing a letter to somebody, and you can see them, they're mourning, and you cannot communicate with them. So you're communicating them with this letter that they're going to be able to read. And so if you can get yourself in this space, like I did, all of the things that you really and truly want to say to people. And in my case, it was my wife and kids. And I think for most people, it's going to be whoever's most closest and dear to you. What I learned through that exercise was several things, but one of them was, in that headspace, nothing else matters. None of the other things that I spend time worrying about, like money or even my daily habits and how I eat or drink or take care of myself. Now, those things matter for long-term health, but nothing mattered more than the people in my life and the relationships that I have with them. So to your point, that's what it comes down to.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. If you stripped everything away and you're about to die, that is all you would care about are the people surrounding your hospital bed. What do they say? When you die, there'll be on average 10 people crying. That's it.
I believe it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. What would you do if I can't say this one without laughing? What would you do if your wife had a work husband and he was a younger version of you, like kind of like the Marcus Allen, O.J. Simpson thing? You know, they said Nicole went for Marcus because he was just a young version of OJ. So how would you handle that? What kind of discussion? How would you feel? What, you know?
So he's not okay. He's somebody who resembles a younger version of me. You know, I have another question for you that I've asked other people, and I think it's related to this. That's
Well,
kind
you
of
know why
funny.
I'm asking this question, right?
Yes. I'd probably be a little bit jealous, but I don't know. I just trust my wife so much. I think I'd have a little fun with it.
Hmm. All right, what's your question for me? I'm
It's
nervous.
not the question that I asked you already, but it's, um, if your spouse cheated on you,
Hmm.
would you leave her?
Yeah. Did I answer fast enough?
The speed has nothing to do with it. It's just the people's answers to that question are interesting, and then
Yeah.
people's reaction to other people's answers are also interesting.
Yeah. Well, the speed of my answer should indicate how strongly I feel about it. Like there's no
It
questions
certainly does.
asked. I think
Yes.
I think men and women I think it's different when men and women cheat.
Yeah, I'm assuming you mean because maybe men it's a little bit more physical and less relational.
Yeah, and because of the way we're wired and the fact that we could forget about her the next day, one of the reasons I've been mad at a friend who has had an affair and left his wife is that I you want to you want to have sex with her, I could forgive you for that, but don't fall in love like some fucking yeah, it bothers me and it comes from a deep place if you can imagine that.
Well, yeah, we can see where it comes from,
What about you?
which is probably um, is why you feel so strongly about that and answered so quickly.
Maybe. So would you leave?
No, I wouldn't leave.
Interesting. Do you want her to hear this?
We've had this conversation with friends.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it turned into a big thing.
Have you listened to the Lauren McAllister Andrews episode?
Real estate agent?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think not wanting something is just as good as having it?
Probably better.
Good answer. What's the best baseball card you've ever owned? Your favorite?
You'd have to ask my son. I've never really been into them, but the ones that I do have, he's really into now. And apparently I had some good ones. I have a Babe Ruth card. That's pretty cool. These are old black and white cards.
What's that worth?
No idea. Could be worth nothing. I have no idea.
Wow.
I like that old timey stuff, like black and white and super historical. It's cool.
One thing before we part ways, when I was going through the worst of my time, it was late 23, early 24, and I got a text from you out of the blue. You remember that?
Go on. What did it say?
Because it meant so much to me. That's why it's memorable for me. Do you mind if I share what you said?
No, of course not.
You said, "What's up, buddy? You were on my mind. I hope you and your family are doing well. How can I pray for you? Anything specific?" And I was like, that meant the world to me, and I still, of course, remember it. And I unloaded on you. Can you remember that? So you know everything I've been through, and I just want to say thank you, man. You are a friend, and I think you'll always be. So I'm glad
Yeah.
we did this, and I hope we do it again.
Same to you, man. I have found you to be authentic and genuinely kind and loving. I mean, I was a stranger to you who reached out to you randomly, and it's turned into this. You didn't have to come across town and sit with me and my wife. You didn't have to give me a book.
Did
Um,
I? What book did I give you? I love that. You don't remember the text that meant so much to me, and I gave you a book. What did I give you?
you gave me the How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you put a little note in it. So I believe you get what you put into life and put into others. And I think what you got from me on that day was just a little bit of the universe giving back to you.
Word. Love to hear that, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
If
thank you.
somebody wanted to connect with you, how could they do it?
Um, I just send me an email, harvey.yergin@eosworldwide.com.
And Yergin is Yergin. I'm going to see my buddy. My best friend in Europe is German, and his name is Yergin. So your name is German?
Yes, German, very common first name in Germany. It means farmer, I'm pretty sure.
And they took out the U with the two dots above it to
Yeah,
Americanize it?
took up. Yeah, his name probably starts with a J too.
It does.
Yeah,
Very cool. I don't have
cool,
anything
man.
else, man.
That's it, man. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Friends, I appreciate you listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please copy the link, share it with a friend, and if me or Harvey can do anything for you, let us know. I can be reached on the socials. I'm Man Overseas, manoverseas.com. That's it. Thank you, folks. God bless.